Are you sure though?
Yes.
Yeah, let's fixing stuff on map. Alright. So we start.
Yeah.
So, after speaking with Olivine for a bit, and then Olivine being pulled away by something apparently important to speak with Ashi about, which leaves you alone in your room. What do you do?
I would like to roll intelligence or logic or conclusion or something to figure out where the hell would a spider be. Well, a former spider.
Well, that would be technically investigation.
Well, you have to know where to search before you can search.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, so roll intelligence because
Fair enough.
you have no idea.
Intelligence? Okay.
Is this logic or pure?
Just intelligence. You don't have enough to make a logic check.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because, yeah, she's a spider, technically.
That's a 9.
You have no idea. Roll intuition. And now it's like, okay, if I were her, where would I be? Because thinking where she might be is not working.
Dirty 20.
So, considering her circumstances, you think about it, it's like, okay, if I were new to the surface, where would I be? Probably a place where there's a lot of people, but people that aren't getting in the way of you and so on. So, considering that she's new up here and she's not very strong anymore, and she could jeopardize herself going out, quote, into the wild, you think that the best place to find her is probably in the tavern.
Actually, yeah, that's a pretty good call.
So essentially by the desk where all the drinks are being served?
On the ground floor.
Somewhere in the tavern. You think that that's the best she's going to get without going out and putting herself in danger.
Yeah.
She may be relatively clueless about the service world and generally speaking, but she's not dumb. And where is her token? I don't think we put her token anywhere.
No, I don't think we put her here.
It would probably be...
Yeah, we need to take it from one of the other maps.
Yeah, be sure to put her in tokens as well.
Like, that's literally what I'm talking about.
3.
Alright, you got that. Now... There we go. Spider Queen. Suck it off.
Spodre.
Very good.
Oh, there she is.
Bloop. Alright, so you make your way down to the bar. You kind of like walk in, and it's actually a lot more busy than this.
There she is.
Alright, so where's your token? Alright, roll spot. See if there are any spiders hiding in this place.
Where's the spider?
Peekaboo.
26. Where's the
So you
spider?
like look around, the place is pretty busy, but eventually after, about 30, 40 seconds of looking, you spot off on the other side at one of the booths a person peering over the back of the booth, like watching others, and it's like, you recognize that hood. She's over there at that booth, just kind of like with her head like over it, like looking around.
People watching.
She's like sitting on like her knees in the wrong direction. People watching over the booth.
The dignified majesty of everyone. People watching like a little kid.
What do I think spiders can drink?
Not much, I'd imagine.
Well, you would imagine prior to her change, probably just water. Though considering her biology has vastly changed,
Yeah.
you imagine she could probably drink whatever. You imagine alcohol's probably not a problem for her.
Nah. Otherwise, she'd be like, you give her coffee and suddenly she acts like she's dead stoned.
Yeah, she becomes high from coffee. Oh
Go
god.
on. Make a straight wisdom check. So as you look around, you think about drinks, you realize you're kind of hungry. Like, oh yeah, it's almost dinner time, isn't it?
Yeah, we haven't eaten anything in a long time. And I've basically just visited every single floor of this freaking inn right now. So this is a perfect end point, actually. Oh yeah, one would go to the bar.
They say they serve pretty good food here.
Nom nom.
That can be so good. So yeah, one would go to the bar and order like, I don't know, the daily special.
Yeah, you go up there and you check, and they say, hey, that is a beef bowl.
Jackpot.
And it sounds like just a ticket. So
Yep. And he would order
they let you
something-
know
yeah.
it'll be probably ready in about 10, 15 minutes.
Perfect. I would also order two cups of water and an ale for myself, because he needs to think the whole fucking angst med billing that thing over.
Yeah.
How much do I owe? Oh, him, her, it, them.
Oh, that's a silver.
See the bar. Do I have money? Yes, I have 100 each.
Of course you do.
It's like, sorry, I only have gold and platinum.
Yep. It's like,
Do you do change?
Yeah, like Commonwealth generally doesn't accept platinum anyway.
no,
Because
they
it's
don't.
like, what are we gonna do with this?
Yeah, this literally breaks our freaking economy. What do you want?
Yeah, it's like if you buy like 200 gold worth and stuff, it's like, oh, here's 2 platinum. Sorry, we don't accept platinum. It's like,
We literally cannot. That's like going to a coffee shop and paying with like a $10,000 bill.
yeah, it's like, what do you expect us to do?
And even if they
We
could,
don't have slots for this.
and even if they could give the change back, like they're left with a platinum coin.
Yeah, they literally need to
Yeah,
go to
it's
the bank to get it. Like,
It's like, how are
scrambled.
we going to use this at the till? We're not. This goes to the safe. Well, now we're down a whole bunch of change that we can't use. It's just like, this is problem. This is problematic.
Yeah.
Literally cannot change it.
You notice that there's gotta be that one also that pays in platinum.
Drops it like a sack of platinum. There. I just bankrupted you. What the fuck?
Come out there,
Like,
Mansamusa.
here, I've given you a bunch of money that you can't do anything with. Haha.
Yeah, it's Mansamusa all over again.
It's like, yeah, now you have to go to the bank, change that for gold, and whatever silver you need. And it's like, but we can't just do that in the middle of business hours.
Mm-hmm. At that point, you call the supervisor and you're like, "Hey, supervisor, go run to the bank, please."
Supervisor's like, fuck, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we then head on over to the peaking spider. It's a fun tavern name.
Welcome to the Peking Spider.
And it would just
So you
Casually
sit on
just-
the bench, alright.
sit on the bench like.
You notice that she doesn't really appear to see you until you like walk around towards the booth, and she's like, "Oh,
Anything.
One
I like how I like how I blend into the sofa.
Heh.
well, it's because you're not sitting on the sofa; you're sitting on the table."
Oh, so I am. Whoops.
It's like, who's this asshole just coming sitting on my table?
Like a proper fucking yakuza, like sits on the table, like ah. Oh yeah, because the black outline is the back.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you are now Molo, even though it was me and not Molo. Now who's the bitch that can't read the environment, Ollie?
Shut up. Happens to the best of us.
All right, so she kind of, gets down from, resting on her knees, looking over the backboard, and then takes a proper seat and turns to you. She's like, "Oh, hello, Luan."
What
What
did your
brings you
spider?
here? She stops after saying that, then looks to the tray you have with the beef bowl on it. Like, oh, food.
Have you eaten human food before? Well, I suppose mortal food before. Or is it surface food before? I'm still a bit lost in the vocabulary. You'll have to.
She kind
you'll
of
have
brings a
to.
finger to her cheek. That's a good question. I don't know what to call it, though. I am quite hungry, but how does one get food on the surface? Normally, I would just go out and kill something and then eat it, but that's not necessarily an option up here, or with this form either. A wild boar would have been trivial, just the other day, but now I'm pretty sure it would kill and eat me, which is a problem. She kind of raised her chin with like a perplexed kind of look, like, It's like, what do?
If you did kill someone in here, you'd either be killed yourself or you'd be put in irons and thrown into a cell for life. Neither is a recommended option.
Yeah, I would imagine killing other surface dwellers probably won't go very well. Not to mention, probably won't taste very good anymore either. Because I've noticed my tastes have adapted. What with having actually a proper tongue now, and being able to identify flavors beyond just, this tastes like this, it tastes like that, it's something to the degree of, oh, this has lots of flavors at once. It's like, as I can smell the air and taste it for once, and it's just like,
My
this
prediction.
is new. It's not bad, but it's certainly new.
My prediction is that you like salty flavors.
Oh, 100%. Well, actually, well, I haven't exactly had the displeasure of eating human bone or flesh or eyeballs or whatnot, but so I
Well,
can't
normally it
exactly...
all just comes to liquid eventually. Hence why our venom is very disintegrative like that. Though I don't have that anymore, so bones would be quite a problem. She like crosses her arms with
Chewy.
like another kind of perplexed look, like, The eating just got complicated. Who says that much? Eating just got a bit complicated.
So
I hadn't considered that. Oh, well, today. And I realized that I have not eaten since since I've turned into this.
Are you feeling hungry then?
Suffice to say that would be the case, yes.
She's been
It's kind of a new
starving.
feeling, because when am I ever hungry? At any point, it's like, oh, well, I'll just go see what my children have collected for me, and if nothing that is appetizing or enough for me, I'll just go out and hunt something. Taking down a hook or a basilisk, trivial.
Well, on the surface dweller world, unfortunately, only hunting when it comes to food, unless you decide to become a ranger, is, well, go and do a social interaction with a person at the bar, and they'll provide you with food.
She's kind of gives like a wry smile at that. I haven't the foggiest what to do in such an interaction.
I love this fucking woman.
So I would just go up and request food and then be given it to me. She kind of gives you a skeptical look. I'm not sure if that's how that works.
Luan, like, kind of...
She's like kind of like narrows her eye. Are you trying to bully me, Luan Tuhan?
I'm gonna insight. Insight that.
Roll insight.
This is such a weird scenario. It's like she's a freaking Babbletron. It's interesting.
As I said, ancient wise matriarch, also completely clueless.
Yeah, completely in the dark on how this works.
You should probably answer her question and enlighten her.
Yeah, that's what I'm probably waiting to.
Suffice to say, the look she's giving you seems a bit dubious. It's like, oh, you order food at, the bar, ask and request for it. And then she's kind of giving you that look like it can't be that easy. Yeah,
She's
right
the
now
world's
she's
worst
extra out.
She's the world's worst introvert. Oh my god, this introvert's first time in the wild.
Well, you would imagine that she probably would be quite introverted given the nature of a matriarch.
Yeah,
those would only come to aid her with egg layings, or then taking egg layings, or said eggs to go wherever the clutch is.
Yeah.
So her interactions with others would be very limited. So now she's up having to deal with people. It's like, how does this work? And it's like, oh, just walk up to this person. Hey, I want this. And she's just like, there's more to it than that, isn't there? She's not what you're selling.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this: when you first took the form, not this form, but the form prior, was it hard to walk on two legs? How many times did you fall over on your face when you tried to learn to walk in your little cave?
About 2 times, actually.
See, but you picked up pretty quickly, right?
Well, yes, that's my body and learning how to move with it. Engaging with other intelligent creatures as a means to an end, that's a little bit different. On the one, you're like, she's kind of got a point.
Mm-hmm. Well, I suppose there's no harm in me showing you how this works. Would you like to order the same thing? Would you like to eat meat? Apparently they have a beef bowl as their daily special. It's a thing that they serve that changes every day. Kind of a speciality of the establishment where you happen to be visiting.
They change it every day, huh?
Yes.
She kind of crosses her arms, like furrows her brow. That sounds extraordinarily complicated.
Humans often are, to my chagrin.
It's like changing the menu every day.
Well, some
That sounds like a
aspects of it.
task unreasonable to me. As if I were to ask my children, go forth and find me something new every day. It can't be the same as yesterday or the day prior. That would be unreasonable. Surface dwellers are very complicated creatures. She kind of like furrows her brow again at that.
Lauren just kind of looks at her and goes like, I hate the fact that you have a point, you know? Because she does. Well, you're not right. You're not wrong, I'll say that much. But then again, well, it's generally a thing called a weekly menu that they then change and get the ingredients, and there's a lot going on behind the bar, but
Okay, that sounds a bit more reasonable.
yeah, weekly and daily changes.
Now, as far as what I can eat, she pauses for a moment. That is a very good question. I have no idea.
Well, considering you've only eaten what to me sounds like liquidy baby food made of humans.
Liquid meat. It's not just humans. It's more or less whatever I can get my legs on, so to speak.
Hi.
Well, did you not just say that it's mostly liquid that's dissolved by acid and venom?
Well, in my defense, it once was meat. It's just easier to digest once it's been broken down. I do believe that the surface dweller's saliva does something quite similar. Though not to the same degree, mind you.
Thankfully not. I'd hate for my saliva to burn the insides of my mouth off of my face.
And that is what mucus is for. She raises a finger at that.
You're good.
It's not so different for a spider.
I suppose. I am not exactly up to date on what. Well, it would be the same for all spiders, wouldn't it?
That would be correct, but not anymore in my case. She then looks at your beef bowl. So, Mr. Tuhan, how would one go about acquiring this beef bowl?
I'll show you. And it would then follow me.
That
This
is
makes
much
too much sense.
appreciated. She then gets up for her seat and follows you out of the booth.
This makes too much sense.
Yes, it does.
It's so very relatable.
Of course I'm teaching a fucking former face spider drider matriarch. Ether-infused face spider drider matriarch. That's like
This is
ancient. On how to order a beef ball.
this is every introverted autistic kid who doesn't understand how other people work.
It is!
Oh yeah, you
I'm
lead
sorry.
the autist spider to the bar.
Why is it such a fucking apt description?
Would you say you leave the autist spider to?
Yeah, you lead the autist spider to the bar. Oh, and I'm gonna restart Harmonia because it's dying after every track.
The autist spider. Ah, yes. I'm getting just I don't know what. I'm just getting severe fucking True Harmonia flashbacks. And it's not a bad thing because
Yep. I assume you want.
Ada.
Assume you want. Yeah. Gotcha. Happened to somebody? Net.
So you make your way over to the less busy portion of the bar, on the side over by the window.
Nice on that side. I would then give Sakura a single silver coin.
Oh my fucking
She
god.
looks at it, kind of like, raises it up a bit, in the light. She look at it. Ah, yes, currency. I recall reading about this.
Yep, there are four kinds: copper, silver, gold, platinum. Don't even try offering platinum at a place like this. You'll bankrupt them, okay? You know what bankruptcy is, right?
I do not know.
Okay. Just
Though,
a few,
based on the contextual clues, it does not sound applicable.
No. It basically just means very bad financial situation for any establishment of this degree? Question mark. Fucking teaching spiders about
I am
bankruptcy.
unsure what you mean about financial situation, but I will take your word for it. Spiders, finance, what's that?
Yeah.
You would-
Lord's like, I haven't had enough ale to it.
There'll be plenty of time. There'll be plenty of time later to give her a lecture on economy.
What?
Sorry, go on, Emmy.
I just said there will be plenty of time to educate her about economy later. For now.
She just kind of, walks over and just kind of gingerly sits on the bar stool.
Go
Like-
on with it.
Practically, climbs on it before then resting down. You're suddenly reminded of a cat as they, get on top of something. and
Oh
they
yeah, how they like.
shimmy themselves to, get in place. She essentially did. She got on, her hands and knees on top of the bar stool, and then just kind of, worked her way down from there.
Oh yeah, how she got. So instead of shifting the bar stool to the side and under her, she climbed over it and onto it.
And then kind of, then climbed down on it, take a seat.
That is positively adorable. Well, no, adorable.
Absolutely it is.
Yeah. And one would then holler a bartender over. Hey, barkeep.
They turn your way, kind of move over to you. So it's this rather portly human gentleman. Oh, hello. What can I do for you?
I'd like to order another daily special, please. Another beef bowl, if you would.
All right, that will be 1 silver, sir.
And that would be for this lady. And point
She,
over to Sakura.
She takes the silver that you gave her, just kind of places it on the counter, but it's a little too far for the bartender to reach. So he just kind of patiently waits, and the doctor then just kind of patiently waits, and they're just both waiting for each other to do something.
One would then reach over and shift the coin well over across the bar, so for the barkeep to reach. There you go.
Reach out, take it. Ah, thank you.
Mm.
That'll be about 5-10 minutes. Well, kind of looks around. To be perfectly honest, probably more 15. Kind of looks at all the patrons. Might be a little bit. But I assure you, it will be worth it. Our beef bowls are the best in town, I tell you that. With firm confidence. Kind of gives a crisp nod, a bit of a portly laugh.
Well, I'm sure it'll be worth the wait then. I've heard good things.
From what you did manage to eat out of your beef bowl before having to move, it was pretty damn good.
Nice. This picture I don't like. It's all right. Well, no hurries then. We'll be waiting right here. Boom. Then kind of look at Sakura and go and that's how you do it. You give them
She gives
currency.
a nod.
You give them currency.
And so now
you
we
ask for
wait.
it. Correct. And soon you'll have the esteemed beef bowl, as they call it.
She kind of eyes you a bit so it's really that good, huh?
Well, from what I could eat from my own before, well, this, I'd say it was pretty damn good.
The bartender looks at you. No, feel free to make yourself comfortable. We'll bring it to you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
So you then kind of return to your booth. And once again, Sandra kind of like gets on the first chair and kind of like crawls on her hands and knees around the like bend to where she was, and then just kind of slowly lets herself down in her seat.
It's like, is that some Is that some residual spider instincts that you still have, or?
She kind of gives you like, is there a problem with how I take my seat, Luan Tuhan? Don't think I don't see that smirk of a smile behind your look.
It's like, well,
or that rather that hint of a smile.
Yeah. Well, technically no, but most humans, or in fact any mortals, don't sit down the way you do. It's just a bit goofy on how you do it.
Well, I'm not used to being this, well, dexterous. Even in my pseudo-humanoid form that I had, my joints did not work quite this way. It's very interesting. She then, like, takes her arm, like, twists it all the way, then kind of, like, rolls up her shoulder. This very, very likely just broken my arm. Had I did something like this before? So it is very peculiar getting used to such nimbleness, so to speak.
I'm imagining
such dexterity, rather.
Yeah, dexterity.
I'm imagining her sitting like this.
Jeez.
Exactly.
No, she's just kind of sitting on her knees, sitting on her legs, just flop. Like, essentially, a leg to, like, either side of her as she, like, sits on her knees.
Yeah, that was just what I was reminded of. Effectively. When she started talking.
Are we being a pass?
You mean like this?
Yeah, I think that's what she said.
Yeah, she's just kind of sitting like that.
This goober.
Yeah, just kind of sitting like that, like, like it's the most natural thing.
Honestly, some people can't even do that, so that's impressive in its own right. Kind of,
She's like quite.
Like looks at like her knees, and it's like, that would hurt if I sat like that for an extended period of time.
Yeah, it's like you could do it, but your muscles would be like, "Yo, what the fuck you doing?"
Yeah.
Do it properly.
Yeah. What is this? This is a new angle.
It's like, are we doing yoga or are we eating? Pick one.
Yeah. It's food for the soul. It would then also give the.
Though
the
she
glass
looks
of...
perfectly comfortable the way she is.
Well, I guess some secret spiders will continue to elude me until the end of my completely normal existence.
And so, what you said you were doing something with water?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the glass, well, one of them, and like slide it over to her side of the table. Because like, have you ever drank water? Have you ever drank anything from a glass before?
Why would I need to do such a thing? She kind of looks at you like you're stupid. Like, why would I need to do such things?
Well, for the hours that you've been on the surface, that's kind of how we consume beverages, out of mugs and glasses.
She then like turns her attention to the cup and just like takes her like index finger and thumb and kind of like puts it on the clasp before like just lifting it up with two fingers. Just like brings it to her mouth.
Oh my god! I love this. Close.
She just
but...
like looks at you. Like, this feels very unnecessary. It's so much easier when you just need to bring yourself to the liquid and not bring the liquid to you. But I suppose that just can't be helped. And she just kind of like brings it to her mouth, kind of like awkwardly like tilts her like entire hand to like make it so she can like pour it in her mouth.
Yeah.
And she's just like, oh my. And she just proceeds to just drink the entire glass in one go. You're like, holy shit, this woman must have been thirsty.
Yeah, it's like...
And then you realize, oh yeah, she hasn't eaten or drinking anything in almost 24 hours.
Pure water.
It has been about 24 hours.
Also, water would taste a lot different to her right now.
Yes, it would. It's like... One thing crosses his arms, leaning against the backboard. It just kind of goes like a whole new world, huh?
She like pauses for a moment as she sits down the glass. That was very refreshing. And quite tasty, really. That's a word I never thought I would say. Tasty. She brings like a hand to her chin and kind of looks almost like she's having like an existential realization as she just looks at the glass.
The problem with the surface dwellers, well, I guess, in your eyes, is the fact that we don't exactly, well, drink out of... I don't even know how do spiders... How the fuck do spiders drink, like, liquids if
They
they
just
do?
bring their face to it and drink it.
Yeah, also like cats. It's like...
Yeah.
That we don't have it... Well, I suppose it's more like a social norm, but we kind of drink from containers like that. But thanks to that, it's also preserved and rather fresh most of the time.
Quite.
So you don't care.
And that would explain why I felt so odd. As of late, apparently I have been dehydrated.
Dehydrated and also very hungry. Here, you can have my glass too.
She just downs almost all of that in like another go, except a little small bit, and she's like, that is quite fantastic. I could get used to this. Just kind of like sits the glass down.
As a good rule of thumb, it's good to consume some sort of beverage and eat something at every 8 hours. And
Duly noted.
As a day is 24 hours, well, 8-hour large meal every 8 hours should keep your new innards in order.
I thought it was rather peculiar that I felt hungry so soon. Normally I can go several days without eating, as is how it would go. But now it seemed as if it's been only a few hours and my body is saying, hey, feed me, but I'm thinking, why? It's not even been 3 days yet. What do you want from me? She says that like looking down at her torso.
Sometimes I wish I could go 2.5 days without having to eat anything with all the hurry and busyness I have to do and all the traveling, but, well, woe me, it is how it is.
And she's like, being a surf dweller is very complicated. She looks, kind of gives like a real serious look as she says that.
Oh, you haven't even heard the worst of it yet, Sakura. Some like give us like a dubious smile at that. Like, oh, if only you fucking knew all the bullshit that comes with being a surface dweller.
So after like a few more minutes, her food comes along. A waitress delivers it. She's like, "Here you go." It's like a half-elf woman before she then kind of turns back and gets back to the bar.
One would like give like Kurt thanks as she brings the food. Also, is this
So
like?
Sakura then like takes the bowl and like looks at it.
Is this like chopsticks or like fork and knife or like what?
It's fork and knife.
Okay.
Which
People
obviously
will
shouldn't.
look at chopsticks and be like, "What is this, Kiwahana?"
I feel like Luan's gonna have to explain in depth all the limitations of her new body and, you know, how often she ought to eat and drink and whatnot, ideally. If she doesn't know, she has no genetic inclinations
No,
that she understands.
It's like,
On average,
it.
under average conditions, the humanoid body can go 3 days, up to 3 days without food. 3 days without water and a few
Just
weeks
like
without food.
However,
Under
that is
ordinary
very inoptimal.
circumstances.
Yeah, as long as you're well hydrated, your body can last quite a while without food.
yep. But I mean, you're gonna feel like absolute shit after like even like 2 days. But yeah,
Oh, yeah. It's just because you can doesn't mean you should, though. That's the thing.
yeah, no. But even after a day, like your body will start to rebel.
So after like looking at the bowl for a moment, she like brings it to her mouth, like takes a sip, and she's like, ah! And she like drops it on herself.
Can I
She's
try
like,
and
"Oh, hot now?
can I make like a dex check to try and catch the bowl?
Make a dex check at disadvantage because you didn't see this coming.
Yeah, he's like, what the fuck are you doing?
She's dumb.
Like, 7 priorities in order for wilderness survival: positive mental attitude, wilderness first aid, shelter, firecraft, signaling, water, and food.
So you just barely managed to catch it before it like sloshes onto her, and though as you catch it, it kind of like spills over the lip of the bowl a bit and like burns the shit out of your fingers. But you managed to like stop it from like splashing onto her. You take 1 fire damage.
Ow, 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 ow. Fudge nugget.
So, Luan Tuhan, is there a reason why I've been fed molten lava? Or fed?
First off,
Just
you don't
thought you have
eat
to
it.
let it-
Yeah, yeah.
You have to
First
let it
off-
cool off first.
Yeah, I know. I didn't have time to explain. I
She's
was
just
like,
like, ooh, food!
Yeah, I was looking at the waiters, like thanking her. This fucking scooter's like, oh. It's like, well, the reason is that you picked up a boiling hot wad of food without using the proper instruments to eat it.
You require
Again.
instruments and utensils to consume food.
Or utensils, yes, not instruments.
She just kind of like crosses her arms. This is very inconvenient, but I
Yes.
suppose I shall do as you say. She like
Yes,
picks up
we
the
don't-
fork like next to the bowl that was delivered, and she's like, "How is one supposed to use such a thing?" She like grasps it as if it were like a shovel, and like stabs it into like the ramen, like in the beef bowl.
Should also probably
And she's just like, "This feels very awkward."
First off, turn it around. Hold it between your middle finger and your thumb. Support it with your index.
You know, she rather deftly moves the fork to doing that. It's almost like a flourish. She just like spins it. You're like, wow. You're like,
But, wow, no kidding. You really did become a lot more dexterous.
well, when you're used to manipulating 8 limbs at once, being reduced to just a handful of digits is quite trivial. You're like, well, that kind of makes sense.
Yep. Well, that does check out. And then you kind of just, while holding it like this, you kind of just gently emphasize it. Stab it into the food, scoop it up and pick it up, and eat it.
You should also probably instruct her
She
to
does that, like,
blow.
lifts it, and then, like, he's like, you can just see the steam billowing off of, like, the noodles. She just kind of, like, looks
Also-
at you like, so I'm to
Also-
eat this now? She's just like, So, are you
Well-
sure you're not bullying me, Luan Tuhan?
You can wait it to cool off, or you can blow some air on it to cool it a little bit. But take it in small portions. So
you do that a
don't-
little too late. She just blows on it and just, like, blows the noodles off of her fork. Like, onto the table.
Try softly blow.
God damn it. I forgot to mention blow softly. Yeah. It's like, Right, I should have mentioned. The one's like, this is a fucking social experiment right here. It's like, right, blow softly on the food because they're not attached to the fork. No worries,
noted.
No worries, they'll clean that up.
She then takes like another scoop of ramen and some beef in it. She like takes a moment, like blows on it a few times, and then like takes it like to her mouth and just kind of like, as soon as she does, her eyes just like widen. She's like, oh my goodness! Just like stuffs the rest of her face, just like.
Careful,
like,
it's still hot.
She's like being very like over animated with her chewing, like
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, she's probably not used to having to do this.
Nope. Like, Luan's like looking at that and like, I'm gonna explain that later, but whatever. She seems to be enjoying it.
She then, after like, you know, a bit of chewing, swallows it, and she's like, that was quite, well, what's the word? Delectable, I believe.
Yeah, that word works. It was good, right?
Suffice to say, that gentleman was not lying. This is quite good. He takes like another bit of it and just kind of like starts blowing on it.
Luan takes another gulp because I imagine he's still eating his own.
Yeah. So dealing with and getting her food allowed it to cool enough where you can just, you know, eat it as is. And you're like, well, that was conveniently timed.
And takes another sip of the ale.
That ale's good.
Oh yeah. Still,
Especially after this long week down in the mines. You're just like, ah, the luxuries of hospitality. I've missed thee.
Exactly. We don't have to fucking eat.
So you're able to just actually relax for like the first time in a week. And you're like, this ain't so bad.
I missed. Wait, I was gonna say I miss police. What the fuck? No. I miss
civilization.
Yes, I meant to say I miss civilization. I meant from civility to policity to police, and I'm like, what the fuck am I thinking?
I miss police. Wait, what?
Yeah, I missed civilization is what I meant to say.
She then kind of looks around. Civilization is rather quaint, from what I've seen of it. Though that is largely based off of these short walks building establishment.
Well, that depends based on towns. For example, where I'm from, it's quite a bustling city, as well as most larger cities in the Red Dragon Empire.
So, relatively speaking, what would this city be in terms of size?
It would be like pretty small, right? Because it's mostly industrial.
Yeah, this
production.
is essentially, you know, just over the cusp of what you would call a city and not a town. It's definitely not a town, but just barely a city.
Well, like, let's say if the capital of the Red Dragon is 100%, this would be around 35-ish% of that.
She kind of like looks impressed.
It's something you'd call barely a city. Not a town, but a city. Barely a city, but a city nonetheless.
Ah, so this is the basic foothold of a city. Duly noted. It's quite nice.
Well, it's got the services, it's got plenty of industrial production.
Watching the people come and go is quite fascinating. Their social interactions is very interesting. Some look as if they're having quite a good time with this conversing.
Well, it's kind of the same thing you and I are doing right now. That's something that a lot of people tend to spend their time with. Get to know each other and, well, spend time together.
It's a new concept, but it's certainly not unappealing.
Well, I'm glad you're adapting. I'm glad you're picking up stuff well.
Expressing one's thoughts through words is quite different, but, well, it works.
Well, some are more adept at it than others. And, well, there's a lot more to it actually, but for example, our little retinue that we have, there's a fair bit of people there that are all over the spectrum of how skilled they are with, well, interacting with others, really. It's kind of something that I do for a job, for a living, so I kind of have to be somewhat decent at it. It's on the sip of the ale.
He's like, so they have varying degrees of eloquence. Noted.
There, well, Lord,
She's just
like,
like
looks up.
talking between like big bites of her
that-
beef bowl.
I mean, it's technically true. Like, compare justice to someone else in the party.
Yeah, or compare like what would be like the most obvious fucking discrepancy. Anksekmek to Isemos.
Yeah, Isimo is a chatterbox. She doesn't shut up.
Nope. She does not shut up. Or Bella to fucking Catherine. I don't know. Or the most obvious difference, Sostos to Justice.
Yes.
Well, that is true. Is there anything else you found weird or odd or peculiar or interesting or anything else that I could maybe help elucidate a little bit on?
Well, it's more of a question of what have I not? You know, living within large structures like this is quite interesting. Granted, I lived within the castle because it was convenient to keep all my belongings in such a space. Though as I look around, there's no need for such a thing here. It's more as if it's almost just, well, comfort? She kind of raises an eyebrow at that and gives a like, half shrug as in like, I don't get it, but okay.
No, maybe
Well,
later.
Yeah. Well, public spaces like this, like taverns, for example, it is largely for comfort. Like those pool tables over there, for example, points like to her left. Like,
Yes,
right
that
there,
is
yeah.
quite fascinating, really. I believe this is a game, as they call them.
Yes, it is. It's actually takes a fair bit of skill to be even decent at it. And stuff like this points around at the bar and the tables. This is mostly for people to come together and converse and, well, order food, drink, whatever, and just spend time together.
Yeah,
And
so I
then-
have to do that with some of the others later, because this is quite appealing. You and I speaking as if, well, eating food, it's certainly a new concept for myself, as generally when you feed, it's something you just focus on doing yourself, putting your entire effort towards it. Though I need not do such a thing, eating like this, I can actually communicate a bit within the bites, so to speak. So that is a luxury I did not yet have, but now do. And she just kind of pauses.
Yes.
I see why takes place as it does.
Yep. It's something that well, honestly, there's nothing really else to add to that. It's exactly as you said.
So I suppose between a lot of the great degree of inconvenience, there is some convenience.
Unfortunately,
You notice
yes.
to your surprise, she actually doesn't like speak with her mouth full. She properly like eats, chews, and swallows before speaking, which is something you actually weren't expecting because
Yeah,
you have like meatheads like Justice who try to like eat and talk at the same time. Same with like Isamos.
I suspect I might know the reason for that.
You're actually surprisingly well-mannered.
Well,
because
she
of
just
that.
said normally she gives eating her full attention, so it's like that kind of equates to manners, oddly enough, in surface society.
Mhm. That's actually one of the most basic skills of humans when eating. That you don't eat with your mouth full.
I mean, talk.
Kind of gives a nod. Well, that's easy enough to follow, as I would not do that normally anyway, because it would be quite a chore. Though, seeing as that certainly possible now. Not duly noted. I shall continue as is. Then takes like another bite of her beef bowl.
Oh my god, this spider is amazing. It's like that. I don't know why that makes so much sense, but yeah, because there's a spoon. Because it's like it's a liquid beef bowl, right?
Yeah.
So there's like soup and whatnot.
Yeah, there's like soup with it, and like ramen, and like a bunch of beef. So it's not like the what's the other beef bowl?
That's the one with rice and like strips of beef.
Yeah, so it's not like a rice beef bowl. This is like a ramen beef bowl.
Also, I imagine she hasn't quite understood the concept of pouring stuff over her meat, so she's probably just been taking the meat as is. Yeah.
No, she's been taking like everything. Essentially, she'd first like get some meat, and then find some noodles.
Yeah.
Then like stab some meat, find some noodles.
Okay.
She
Spider
quickly
on the
realized, like, hey, this is how this works. It's like the meat tastes good, but the meat with these, whatever they are, tastes good too.
Okay, that's goodies. I was wondering about that.
She quickly caught on that it's like, oh, this means to be eaten together. Because she first ate like a piece of meat, and then ate like noodles, like literally just a fork full of noodles. And she's like, And then she tried like some beef with the noodles, and she's just like, oh. I just like started eating like that as she went.
Has she been using?
They're meant to be eaten together.
Has she been twirling them around the noodles to keep it together, or just been stabbing?
She just like stabs it, takes a bunch of noodles, like raises them all the way up until they get out of the bowl, and then just like blows on them, and just kind of like awkwardly like places the bottom of the noodles in her mouth and just directs the fork down towards her.
So here's two learning opportunities.
Eating the opposite way that you would generally eat, but it works for her, so more power to her.
Yeah.
Well, there's two learning opportunities here.
One would kind of look at that and go like, actually, there's an easier way you can eat that. You know that?
Is that so?
Yes, you can, and then like explains the intricacies on how to on how to twirl the fork.
She like watches you do, and she's like, "Oh." She then like repeats the motion.
See,
that is much more convenient.
It's almost like a spider cocoon in a way.
She just takes a bite out of it, and she's like, chews like swallows. Like, if this is simply the first dish of surface food, suffice to say, I am rather looking forward to see what else is out there, because this whole concept of taste is new, but it is quite delightful, so to speak.
I bet that she can't handle spicy food. We need to get this woman to Roll Alzaman like ASAP.
So, you know, she then finishes like the last of her beef bowl and just kind of like leans back. You know, just kind of like leans back against like the booth, and she's just like, why do I feel so fatigued after eating like that? Granted, that took a lot of energy to eat like this, but it's quite not so bad. I guess I could get used to it. You know, she just like closes her eyes and she just kind of like leans back against like the booth. She's muffled, like, I believe this is what your surface dwellers call bliss. Yes. You know, she just kind of like and goes quiet. You her head just kind of like to the side.
Luan just kind of like looks at her like and goes, bliss and food coma, yes.
Like, you know, her breathing starts to like slow down, and you're like, oh, she fell asleep.
Oh my gosh.
This spider.
It's delicious food. It expends lots of energy doing so. It did.
Yeah, Lun just crosses like his ankle across his like one of his knees and just goes like exhales as he continues working on his ale.
You know, after like by the time you like finish your ale, you know, she like stirs a bit and she's like, oh, kind of like jumps up with a start. I dozed off there for a moment, didn't I?
Morning, sunshine.
It was just so comfortable and so warm and so. She pauses for a moment for like looking at you. I could certainly get used to this. Like,
Jumping spike. Oh, just you wait until you learn falling into a bed from a food coma.
though, it's probably good that I find some place to rest. Though, I believe you wish to speak to me first of some matter. She like looks around. Probably not the greatest place to do so, so shall we go elsewhere?
Well, I have already, and not that I had anything too important to talk about anyway, but sure, we could use with the change of scenery.
Well then, perhaps some place for a... She pauses for a moment. Nap might work. As for some reason, sleep just feels so appealing presently.
Yep, again, that's the feeling of bliss.
She then like gets up from the booth and just like waits for you.
Where would be like a good place to crash, quote unquote?
Probably
Because-
your room or something to that extent.
Yeah, because well, we have like a shop. Actually, yeah, probably wise because
You're like, oh, she wouldn't have a room.
Precisely.
She just got here.
So
Yeah.
you'd have to make she'd have to make some arrangements to that end.
Mhm. Sure, why not? Well, follow me then.
So she then follows you across the bar as the two of you then go upstairs.
Remember, this is a baby.
Yep. This is literally a baby in all aspects of freaking, what do you call it?
Another being.
Existence, yeah.
Oh my
Now
gosh.
the two of you then make to your room and just kind of open the door. And she just kind of follows in behind you and she like looks around. So this is a bedroom, correct?
An in-room to be precise, but yes.
She
It's
kind of like
somewhere-
just like walks around, like looks at things, you know, like goes over here, like looks at the table, goes and like looks at the dresser, kind of brings a hand to her chin while like analyzing it.
So somebody will like somebody will like the house and spare the dog and trash on a fucking leash.
And she like goes over here to like the wardrobe, and just kind of like looks at it for a moment. Then moves down to like over here, like looks at this plant. She's just like scrutinizing like everything in the room.
Also, like, what did Molt leave in the freaking in her quote room? Because it's
You
not
you have no idea. You haven't been in there in a while.
okay. Just don't go in there. You might hurt yourself if you go in there. Points at the closet.
I see. She like moves over here to the bed, like climbs up on top of it, and just like moves across it. And she's like, "Oh, this is rather soft." She's kind of like, almost like paws at it as she just kind of like moves across it. This is quite comfortable. I believe this is a bed. Yes. Surface dwellers sleep in such things.
Most of us do, yes.
She's like, why
yes.
is it so inviting? She just kind of like slumps down onto it. It kind of like snaps, like, oh! It just like kind of rolls off of it. I suppose it is probably wise not to rest on such a thing without the intention of sleeping, as it will come very fast. By the looks of it, it kind of brings a hand to her chin.
You know how face spiders ambush their prey?
Yes, I am quite adept at such a thing.
That's how sleep is.
Yeah. Yeah. You can think of beds after eating good food kind of in the same manner. They tend to ambush you, and you will more than likely fall asleep.
Yes, it's quite inviting. It's new, but not bad.
It's an experience, I imagine, for someone who's so new to the surface world. But I did want to ask you one thing.
And sure, what is that?
How exactly did you and Belinda Montes come to meet? Because I understand that you two, well, aren't exactly off on the best of relations from what I've heard from her and you, but
Well, when I
she came
first
to
met
hunt your
her,
eggs.
yeah, she effectively invaded my colony at the time with a handful of adventurers. Those of my children who jumped to the defense were promptly slain. Realizing quite quickly that my colony cannot fend off these invaders, I moved to do so myself. Frankly, I was a little disappointed in my children because defeating them was not necessarily difficult. And then I recalled at that point, I decided, well, I should probably get my children a little bit more combat adept, so such a thing does not repeat itself. Though I was really surprised with one of them that just frankly disappeared. I was quite perplexed at this, so I searched the colony high and low as to where this invader may have gone. I come to find that that was indeed Belinda Montes III, or first, rather. Though that was not the only time that I saw her. I had encountered her yet again on 2 different occasions when she seemed to be exploring my colony looking for something.
I would assume face spiders silicon eggs.
Yes, so she found that it's much easier to sneak into my colony by herself than with others. Though I managed to catch and very nearly kill her once, though she managed to still escape. See, I was unsure as to how. Like, how does this woman in complete constraints manage to just disappear in seemingly thin air, not even to the ethereal plane? It's just, where did this woman go? She, like, crosses her arms. It was quite vexing, if I am to be frank. Though she seemed to have learned her lesson after that last encounter, as I had very nearly slain her. And I hadn't seen her since until, well, just the other day.
Spiders.
Oh, it's not where she went, but when she went.
Exactly.
Indeed.
I learned quite some time later precisely what chronomancy was from different books from the Alpediminos and their theory in regards to it. Though seeing her then do it and it's like, so that is chronomancy. And that is how she escaped my clutch twice.
Honestly, I'm more than impressed that you actually managed to catch a chronomancy of that speciality, no less.
Well, I am rather nimble, or at least I certainly was in my spider form. It is a little hard to evade spider silk when it can move about as quickly as you can. Though it was her just vanishing that was the problem. And I quickly found out that there was simply nothing I could do to stop her from getting away. So that was when I tried to just simply outright kill her. But that too was foiled with her just escape. Though, as I said, I believe she learned her lesson when she was brought upon death's door before managing to escape.
This fucking spider very nearly killed the goddamn time traveler. What the fuck is the utility?
It's like you have like this tiny window to kill them before they get away.
Yeah.
Like Sakura very nearly did that. And Belinda's like, alright, I'm not fucking with this.
Only
fucker
on
anymore.
Diotathis.
Yeah, I learned the third time encountering her about how her tricks went, so I very nearly slayed her. Suffice to say, she was not going to give me another chance, as I would very likely kill her, and I suppose that I would have, as I knew exactly how to combat her threat. So she just never came back. She gives kind of an innocent shrug. Though I was quite fine with this, because she was a great inconvenience.
Inconveniences go both ways, Sakura.
Well, I was not the one invading her territory, now was I? She kind of crosses her arms with a bit of a pout.
Well, point taken from both her and myself, I suppose. But there's the fact that you're also adept with interacting with gods and owning something about owning a favorite, Lady Odaroma, and having met Lady Fasella.
Yes.
How did those two things come to happen?
It's a bit of a long story in regards to how I met Fasella, but Odaroma was fairly straightforward, as I was at one point beginning to look to find a nest, so to speak. This was shortly after I had left, well, as it was in the process of leaving Konohaba, so to speak. And that is when I had encountered the Red Dragon in my process of leaving my said colony. And I was attacked by them in a situation that I was simply not ready for, and against such a large number. And that is when Lady Odaroma showed and effectively defeated them, because they were in a place they were not supposed to be. Apparently that this was right under her holy city. And they had been looking for a way in, so to speak.
Wait, you're telling me you had a nest directly under Tsuraizo Kamachi?
Well, it wasn't directly, and that was not my intention, but that is just kind of where it ended up.
I was just kind of looking at this woman like, how lucky are you?
And you recall she made mention that, surface dwellers would bring her offerings of, like, food and stuff, and she's just like, this is convenient. Little does she know it's because she's right next to the holy city. So they're like, oh, the spider took up root here, so this must be an important individual. Offers food, and she's just like, I'm not used to this, but I could get used to this.
I remind you of Soma Spider, so what? That's basically the scenario. You accidentally become revered as a messenger of the gods.
Yeah, on a pure freaking accident.
Though it was the great inconvenience of the sudden the encroaching of the Red Dragon that I decided it was possibly time to leave. Though apparently Odaroma was grateful for my company and that I aided in the defense of her city, apparently without realizing it. Because, suffice to say, surface or subterranean monsters of the sort didn't want anything to do with me. And my presence made a lot of the caves nearby a lot more safe for her people to go out and, I believe, collect mushrooms, as she said. As it was quite rare to have such things growing within this proximity, but they could not do so because monsters in the area. Then I showed up. And, well, they stopped showing up as I very quickly began to hunt them, and they realized, maybe this area is not so nice anymore. And they just sort of left.
I wonder why.
I would have to begin hunting. However, that was not necessary, as the citizens of this city would bring me offerings. It was a nice exchange. Though I had gotten a bit soft due to this. So when the Red Dragon soldiers appeared and invaded my lair, it was not the best experience. Neither was that when I was leaving, but Lady Oromoma felt gratitude towards me with having aided her city without quite realizing it. Though, from my perspective, I felt as if I did nothing worth praise, or let alone being saved, though the gesture was most certainly taken into account. So now that she is in a situation where she is in need of assistance, I feel as if I am obligated to do so in exchange for her own. I may be a predator that ambushes and kills whatever I might find, but I'm not without gratitude.
Well, the past you anyway.
Yes, which now, having taken on my form that I have, I can understand such gratitude to a greater extent. That she did not need to do what she did, but she did so anyway. So I have no obligation to aid her, but I'm going to do so anyway. Because that is how these things work, if I am not mistaken.
Well, they do. Odaroma is very adept with mortals in general, and she understands the concept and can apply the concept of empathy and gratitude and all that really, really well.
Yes, being an ancient being of my caliber and having existed as long as I did, and realizing that my existence was very nearly terminated, that yes, I believe aiding her in her war would certainly be a fitting compensation for her having saved my many, many years of existence.
I somehow don't doubt that she would be very grateful for that. Now, as for Lady Fosella, well, you did mention the long story, but we'll be heading to a safe space, probably.
Well, the
tomorrow
short of
morning.
it is I effectively captured the goddess that she was with in a web. Frankly, I was really surprised to find her. It's like, what is such a creature doing in one of my webs?
Wait, which goddess was this?
You would know that this would have been Amnesia she's speaking of. But she effectively caught Amnesia in a web unintentionally.
Oh, God.
And then she's kind of it's like, how am I supposed to eat a being of essence? I was in a rather perplexed situation. On one hand, my instincts say food, but on the other hand, it's like, this is essence. How do I eat this? So I was in a bit of a quandary there for a moment, deciding what to do before I got communication from another being that was apparently inside of this one. It was peculiar.
Fosella inside Amnesia, like.
It's all like, oh shit, it's like my hostess is about to die. Let me fix this.
Like, let my mom go.
Yeah, because Amnesia is not that strong. She was kind of weak there for a while and very easy to kill by mundane threats. Technically speaking, Sakura was a mundane threat. It's a very dangerous one. So Facella's like, oh shit. Hey, let's make a deal. You let my daughter go, and I don't die too, because it's like her existence depends on Amnesia's.
Sakura came this close to ending all of the others.
Pretty much, that's what it certainly sounds like. One's like, wow.
If Clack heard this, like, he would be fucking dying right now.
I do.
Oh my god.
What do you think Val's response would be?
It's like, oh, the pillow got caught in a web and very nearly torn to shreds. That would have been very bad.
Oh god. Well, I'm
Granted,
sure
this
all
was
of us-
before I became my phased rider form. But I'm still aware that something was amiss. I had the presence of mind to question my prey that was bizarre, and then the telepathic communication of another being. And I realized at that point, probably more hassle than it's worth, so I simply released her from my web and let her go on her way. As I had, at that point, was searching for a colony or location to, make my own new colony. It was not long after that I had become the phased rider that you saw me as. So, I had been given consideration, and I believe that might have been part of the process of me becoming what I was, as that was the first time I had to really stop and think about the prey I had caught. And I think that may have just been one more stepping stone on my way to my new evolution, so to speak. Though it was only much, much later that I came to realize, oh, that was the goddess of sleep that I had captured there. Though it was very peculiar because it's like, I very nearly destroyed a god. Is that really how gods work? She kind of brings a hand to her chin.
Very weak ones, yes.
So I did not think too much of it after that. And then when I acquired this castle, I noticed that one statue in the corner looked awfully familiar, but I couldn't quite place it. It was only after I had encountered you all that I was reminded, oh, that must have been Lady Anaklisi. Because there is not really any depictions of her within books, let alone actual imagery. So
Yes,
I was at
she's,
quite a pause for who was this goddess?
Yes, was more so all but forgotten in mortal history anyway.
Yes, it had been quite some time since I had encountered her. So when I saw the statue of her, it just seemed familiar, but I never did catch her name before having let her go. So I had no idea.
Huh.
Though to think that I very nearly ended the proxy of the Overgoddess. That would not have turned up well, would it? She kind of crosses her arm. So perhaps it was best that happened the way that it did.
Yes.
This was when I was on my way to the El Pidwinos. I have no idea what she was doing underground, but it was not my place to question as such, nor did I even particularly care at the time. It was only after I became the phased rider that I stopped and paused and thought, why was such a being doing so far underground anyway? She gives a shrug. That is a question I never did get an answer to, but I eventually just dismissed it as whatever business she had. You could also think it's kind of curious. It's like, what was she doing underground?
Yeah, I was thinking about the same thing. Why were Focella and Amnesia underground? What could they possibly have looked for down there? It's like, huh. You just gave me a very interesting inquiry to follow. Since I can't think of a single reason why Lady Anaklisi and Lady Amnesia, Lady Anaklisi, because that's what she knows her as, and Lady Focella would have been doing underground of all places.
She kind of gives a small shrug. Well, I just brushed it off as, who am I to question what the gods do? And just left it at that.
I've come to learn that that's rarely where things end, so... But that's not something that I should probably be bothering my head with right now.
Yes, I do believe they are more pressing matters present. What with the situation here?
Yes, and to the north, and to the west, and to Marina. But first off, we'll be having a meeting soon. In a couple hours, I believe.
Yeah, at this point it'd be about 2 hours.
Yeah. We'll be having a meeting in roughly 2 hours where We'll be going over what all of us found, because there was another group underground that took care of the dragon problem.
Yeah, I believe you made mention of such.
Yes.
Yeah, remember Linary mentioned that in the thing.
Yeah, I just didn't remember if you said exactly.
I did.
Okay. And then the following morning, we'll be early to set for Lady Torsi's church, actually. Some of the people here might be, well, traumatized from the horrors underground, so we'll be taking a little time off for some R&R.
She gives a small nod. Yeah, I've seen that a lot of surface dwellers don't take well to gore and slaughter. They were always quite shaken whenever I would kill their comrades. They'd know that, well, their time is coming quite soon thereafter. But it is what it is. They were prey, and I was a predator. That was that.
Yep, it's the natural flow of the world. Sometimes I wish it was that easy.
Though, as I made mention, that is not how it shall be going forward. As imagine, killing humanoids at this point is just a hassle. I'll have to consider consumption of food in more convenient ways. Though I imagine beef bowls cannot be found out in the wilderness, so to speak.
Oh, speaking of that, then Lauren then reaches his pouch and give her 5 gold pieces.
She's just like,
Yeah.
gold.
If you want to buy anything that piques your interest, that should be able to cover more than anything that you could possibly ever want.
Well, as much as like go for the city, I believe it is probably unwise for me to do so alone. So I
Right.
shall just have to refrain from the time being, seeing as we will be leaving in the morning, and presently those are getting prepared for the meeting, so perhaps I shall just have to take an investigation of another city at another time. She kind of gives us a slow shrug. Though that just can't be helped.
Well, consider those funds for when that time comes then.
Duly noted.
Getting you acclimated if you do, well, I keep saying human, and then I keep saying mortal, and then I keep saying, like, surface dweller. I'm not used to saying surface dweller. It's like, getting you used to surface dweller society is, well, kind of a priority. Plus, it makes your acclimation that much easier.
So perhaps we shall do so tomorrow morning before setting out.
That works.
Perhaps we could go get another food of some sort while we're at it.
Lauren actually smiles at that.
Though I believe we should probably take the pink one with us, as she was looking quite jealous a bit earlier.
Yes.
Go on, roll logic.
Yeah, I imagine the quote pink one might be a bit beside her. Seeing that, I fucking love that she calls him by colors.
She hasn't learned a name yet. It's been mentioned like once for a creature that never uses names.
Yeah, like she's not used to using names, so names don't stick very quickly.
30?
You kind of realize, like, wait, was she not only watching us back at the tavern? That certainly sounds like it.
She saw then, did she?
Though I don't know why, it's not as if there was much to see. We were consuming food and conversing.
That is another pole of humanity. She and I have a bit of a relationship. So I can understand why she would be jealous. I'll have to explain to her later.
She kind of like crosses her arm with a huff. Well, it is not as if we are mating, so I see no issue with our social interactions. Though I suppose, well, surface-dwelling women can be very complicated.
Lola looks at her like, well, you know more than most surface dwellers do.
Well, I kind of picked up as much while watching other people because the women seem to be very unreasonable with their conversations and demands. I do not quite understand why that is, but that is just how it is, I suppose.
It is how it is. It's just like let's like a light sigh. But I suppose that's enough. That's enough for today.
Yes.
I still have some more things that I need to take care of and get prepared for the meeting. And it never ends.
So perhaps then I shall take a short rest while this happens, because I feel fatigued. I noticed I felt such a way in the AA earlier, but I was in no position to sleep, so I just ignored it. You're like, oh, that's right, she literally stayed up all night.
Yep.
Well, she's running on, like, no sleep for, like, over 24 hours.
Yeah, the second she closes her eyes, dozens and dozens of ghosts.
She was dozing off. It's because she hasn't slept in over 24 hours.
Yep.
Her body's like, yo, what the fuck you doing?
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
And
she's like, yo, body, what the fuck you doing?
dozens and dozens of ghosts would just jump out of the woodwork like, ha-ha!
Yep, like, why are you sleeping, bro? Oh god. Is there an empty room here, actually? Because, like,
You know that there is one that's essentially directly north of yours. It's pretty much the only empty room on this floor.
Yeah, I was looking at it. I'm like, yeah, there's no one there.
Oh, the depositor.
So, yeah. Well, there's a perfect place for you to take a cat nap, as they say. Come with me.
Then follow us.
It must make you want to sleep.
Don't you want to rest?
Haha.
You're welcome. I'll be here all weekend.
William, when will you sleep? Haha.
I
Anyway.
believe this is an empty room. And I would use my skeleton key to just open it and like...
So you just like open it like it's nothing. And as you like go inside, yeah, it's a perfectly just set up room. As you imagine, probably no one will even begin to check in here because there's nobody registered, so you imagine there'll be no problem.
Yep, and after this I'll be going to the register, like down there, and say that, hey, that room's occupied. It's like, oh, we'll have to ask for payment. Is platinum enough?
Hey. Hey.
It's like, yes, sir. Very much so.
Hey, I got a black card here. Is that gonna suffice?
Fuck black card users, by the way. I fucking hate you guys who use black cards to abuse your goddamn power. Fuck you. Anyway,
So she just kind of like moves over onto this bed here, like climbs onto it. She's like, yes, this is quite soft. And you watch as she just kind of just falls down.
and Kazam. That's
It's
how
like,
that
oh
works.
yeah, she was really tired. She just let her guard down for a moment, and then within that moment, she just immediately fell asleep. She must have been extremely tired and was just fighting against it. And so it's now she's just like, okay, time to sleep. It happened immediately.
Yeah. Alone with then like pull the
So
curtains.
she's sleeping literally on the bed and not in the bed. So
Yeah. Well, that should be comfortable now. Alone with then pull the curtains, so it's nice and dark. So
You
her
just pull the
spider
curtains and
instincts wake up.
and they're saying, there you go. Alright, so Sakura is very asleep.
She's very dead.
Sleeper.
You make note that you'll probably have to come wake her up before the meeting because she's not gonna wake up herself.
I just got the middle image of a CG in a VN where there's a thought bubble from her where she's just a chibi spider with a blush sticker on. And she's just like, ah.
Yeah,
How does a
before
sleeping-
promptly falling asleep.
Yeah. And one would then, like, lock the door again from the outside. And, be like, that's the spider handled. Now, before I face my Tsunami's rage, I suppose I should probably catch up with Olivine again.
Speaking of which, you actually find her, like, walking down the hall. Like, in your direction. Looks like she was heading towards your room before she, like, noticed you. She's like, oh, there you are. I was just heading towards your room.
Now, talk about a perfect timing. I was doing social studies with a spider.
It's like, indeed.
How did your talks with Ashi go?
Curious. She felt the need to apologize for something, but I did not see any such need for her to do so, but, well, she kind of gives a small shrug. That's just how Ashi is, I suppose.
Yes, she's been in an apologetic mood recently. Even made up with me instead of bullying me constantly over things that I largely have no control over, but it is what it is. People tend to hate the beliefs.
Well, that aside, she just feels to be acting very strange as of late. I was not. Well, she came back from the mine with you all, and she's just been acting different, so to speak. For lack of a better term, she's a lot more nice. It's a little strange.
Well,
Oliver just crosses her arm with a curious look.
Well, she did very nearly die, and I believe she had a few heart-to-hearts with, well, mostly Bella as well. And she did come to learn a bit of humility as well as something new about herself.
Yeah, she did mention she very nearly died, which, judging by her temporary prosthetics, that would certainly be the case. I just did not expect it to make such a, well, difference. Then again, it did make quite the difference in myself. So I suppose that it's certainly possible.
When did you die anyway? Sometime between when we first met here and the last time we met.
Yes, in this particular setting, that's when I died.
Wait, this particular setting?
That is a long story for another time. She kind of offers a wry smile at that.
Well, I have a laundry list at Torsi's church already, so I wouldn't mind indulging if you don't mind.
I do not mind making mention of it, but it would just take a bit of prefacing, so to speak, so not the best conversation topic this close to the meeting.
I understand. You Doria agents are full of mystery either way. Anyhow, shall we?
Yes. And so the two of you then head into your room. And that'll be where we'll end this one, and next one we'll pick up with Ashi's, including Ashi's and concluding yours.
Alrighty. And there next
We'll
time.
end this mini session.
Alright.
That is it, Monday yet.
I wasn't hinting at Peak doing that. I was just assuming that she was gonna kidnap me for later for a full-on rundown on what happened.
Well, seeing as you are back to the surface, like, no time like the present. But yeah,
Yep.
so after your little adventures with the Spider Queen, you meet up with Olivine, which we shall get to next time.